What's up, everybody? This is Chef Clay's Grind2Hard, episode 46. I'd like to welcome, I have a guest for y'all today. His name is Chef Jacob.
How's it
Appreciate
going,
you coming down, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Chef Jacob, you can catch him on Instagram at Big El Paso Dad, just like it sounds. And you can see some of the food he has, as well as the passions that he has. You'll catch him, his restaurant he's working at right now is called Block at the Kern Place, right next to UTEP. I definitely implore you guys to check it out. The menu, but not only that, he changed up the whole ambiance. So you guys check it out if you've been there before, or if you haven't, check it out. So Mr. Jacob, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's
so
great to finally be here.
Yeah, definitely, man. We've always I've seen you in the kitchen setting. We've talked on Instagram. We kind of have that mutual respect about food and chefing and stuff like that. So glad to have you on the show, man. I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, dude, it's great to be here. You know what? Like, I've always appreciated what you've done, and just like the conversation we had earlier, I've always respected the fact that you've put yourself in positions where you can learn more.
Absolutely.
You know?
Cool,
and like, as an independent chef as yourself, man, like, that's like the livelihood of it all, is it not?
Yeah, you gotta grow, man. I think after even a year, like with one family, like I'm out of like ammunition. You know, some of your best things you already pulled the trigger on a couple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Within a year, not 365 days, even if it's like 300. So like, yeah, I just want to grow. You know what I mean? Like I even get out of my comfort zone and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely, man. Absolutely. So thank you. I appreciate that, man. And also appreciate the book that you brought, man.
Absolutely.
You gave me a gift, man. You know, I should be giving you a gift for coming on the show. So thank you so much, man. You're badass. Yeah. So Marco Pierre White, is this someone that you respect in particular, like, or the book itself?
When I first started cooking, you know, it's funny. So my upbringing into food was not necessarily the most traditional one.
Yeah. You from El Paso?
I am born and raised.
And what school did you go to?
I went to Austin High School.
Austin High School.
Yeah,
okay, that's the first.
Central.
Yeah, we've had a lot of Del Valles recently. So
yeah,
we got represented. Austin finally. There you go.
79930.
There you go. So all right. So that's where you started. Sorry, I just wanted to get into like, I think you were going into like your beginnings, right?
Yeah, I was never a good kid. I was always in trouble. I was like a little malandro. And growing up in Central, right there off of Arizona, the train passes through there, dude.
Right.
So one time I got in major trouble. So I don't know if you've ever seen the sides of trains, how they have the little steps in the rail.
Yeah.
So me and my homies would jump onto that, dude.
While it's moving? Oh, man.
Okay, so like...
Yeah, I've heard deadly stories, man.
Yeah, right. And so I got in trouble. I got like, you know, little pow-pow and all that stuff. Mom and dad are super upset.
Damn.
Mom and dad work jobs, though, so who's going to take care of me while I'm suspended and stuff?
No shit, yeah.
I had an elderly neighbor. Her name was Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
She was, honest to God, like one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. So we were watching the Food Network, and I'm just sitting there bored out of my mind, you know, staying home from school because I'm in trouble. And just like flipping through the channels and stuff. And we land on the Food Network. Yeah. And she's looking at the TV, and she's like, "You want to make that?" And I'm like, "Dude, I was a little brat. I was like, you don't know how to make that." No. So went to school, picked up a cookbook, and we happened to make the same thing. It was peanut butter cookies. And this was the first time in a kitchen that I'd ever cooked anything. Right. All I knew about food up until that point was my mom calling me, you know, dinner's ready. I show up, there's a plate there. Yeah. I never saw the process. I thought it was boring. I didn't care much for it.
Right.
And so, you know, this woman took me through the process step by step. And, you know, we had a lot of cleanup to do and here and there. But, like, the end product was what, like, got me hooked. Right. And after that, I was constantly in the kitchen with my mom. And, you know, growing up, I always told myself that I wanted to be a physical therapist. Right. Get to college. It's kinesiology, minor in psychology. Terrible student, dude. Not my setting. Not a good setting for me at all. And, you know what? I had to make a lot of mistakes growing up. And I think one of the biggest, like, lies that I ever told was when I tried to tell my family, oh, yeah, I love school, I'm doing great and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. But in the back of my mind, I knew I was miserable. You know, that setting just wasn't doing me any good. And it just continued to, like, get harder and harder for me.
So was that that recipe book the first one you got, was that the nugget? That was like, okay, your little spark?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, because, like, growing up with my parents, you know, my mom being an artist, I got to see her express herself. Mm-hmm. And she still had her 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. You know, she was doing desk work, but, you know, after hours, she's painting. And I'm talking about a woman who has Bell's palsy and cerebral palsy. Oh, man. Right? So
shout out moms, dude.
Yeah, shout out moms, dude. Shout out mom and dad. My mom, you know, she had to overcome a lot. And
still make dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, man. Damn.
She had to overcome a lot, dude. There was a point in her life where my dad, you know, he was picking up a lot of the weight. Yeah. My mom was doing a paper route.
Wow.
Pregnant with the little one, my youngest brother. And then, the kangaroo pouch and all, me and my older brother.
Sheesh.
And then there was days when my parents got a truck. They had a 94 Ford Ranger, this white one, dude. I love it. It's not there anymore. My dad upgraded already.
Nice.
But, dude, some of the fondest memories I have are, like, in that crammed back seat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you're...
Yo, same. My grandfather had a green one, so I know what you mean. With the fold-out seat?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, dude. Oh, yeah, we definitely have a...
Yeah, the little side chairs and
exactly,
stuff. Dude, that is hilarious.
And then when he'd shift crazy, you'd bonk your head.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Like, nothing says Sunday morning to me like being packed in a van with all of my cousins. Like, like the seat's only meant for two, but you're fitting three. Oh, yeah,
you got three in there for sure.
You got two on the side right by the door.
Oh, man, shout out the cousins, yo. I know if you live in El Paso or you're Latino, you know what I'm talking about.
You know exactly what it's like.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that's fucking good shit. So, mom and pops, what kind of influence did they have on you?
My dad
Not just with cooking, but...
My dad is very straight and to the point.
Yeah.
This morning, actually, before I got here, I went to go hang out with him. I live out west, and my parents still stay in Central. Okay. So my dad goes on these walks now, dude. He used to party like crazy. My dad was, he was a boxer, and he was like, machista as hell. Yeah. He was a short dude, but he was stocky.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like a little chihuahua on HGH, dude. But he was very, very straight to the point. So there was no beating around the bush with him. Yeah. If you were good at something, you were good at something. If you needed to work on something, you needed to work on something. And so a lot of the principles that he lives with is a lot of the influence in the way that I cook and the way that I teach a lot of my younger cooks. My mom is a lot more compassionate than my dad. My dad's a nice guy, but you know how it is with old heads. He's going to be all like stern on the outside.
So like a yin and yang, like a balance between the two of them, yeah?
Absolutely, it balanced each other out. My mom was a lot of the love, and to this day, my mom, some of my friends now, we're all in our late 20s, early 30s, and they're still like, oh, how's mom doing? How's mom?
Oh, nice. She was that yeah, I like that. I have friends like that, man.
Yeah, she was that mom of like the friend group. We had track meets and stuff, bag full of burritos and stuff like that.
That's love right there. Hell yeah.
Her compassion is what motivated me to be good. You know what I mean? And like in everything that I do in my life, I always try to put my best foot forward, man. But the biggest thing about life is having a sense of humility and being able to admit when you're wrong. I wish I could be right about everything in life, but I'm never going to be right about everything in life.
And that's what mom taught you, is the humility?
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Because she
humility
always
goes a long way, man, for
absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because setting the example, it puts an unnecessary weight on people because they feel that their life needs to be picturesque. But I've learned that setting the example is always doing your best to make the better choice. And
all the while, your dad being macho type of person, right?
Oh, absolutely, dude. So, like, I'm over here with mom getting, like, unconditional love. And not that my dad didn't love me, but, like, mom is definitely a lot sweeter. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And then, how it is. Dad wakes you up at 6 a.m. Get up. You're holding the flashlight for me. We're working on this and that. Like,
oh, yeah. That was more my grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he used to tell me that I hold the flashlight and all that stuff, and definitely making me cut the grass. Like, he had a cabin in the mountains, and he'd be like, "You're coming with me this weekend." I'm like, "What?"
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, and all of a sudden we'd be shoveling freaking rat shit out of a crevice in the cabin or some shit. Yeah, definitely, man.
Dude, that's insane. Yeah, no.
But yeah, that's what they do, man. They make sure we fucking know how to work. You know what I mean? And we respect the work too.
They teach us what they know. They for sure teach us what they know. Absolutely. And like sometimes, like that's the thing, when a lot of like things go unchecked for generations, sometimes like even they don't know what they're showing us is wrong because it's all that they know. And
I know at a certain point my grandfather was probably like 85 or 88. He gave up. Yeah. He's like, I ain't teaching you fuckers no more.
Yeah, that's how my dad is, dude. Yeah. Like I'm saying, like now he's all kombucha and multivitamins and stuff. And like, that's the thing. It took me growing up and moving out, and my younger brother, he left. He's a drone pilot. He lives out in Las Vegas, dude. Nice. He's doing well for himself.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Having my daughter and all of that made my dad a lot softer of a guy. So I guess it kind of gave him this wake-up call where he's like, oh, shit, like this is all going to fly by. And it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like being in that point in my life where I have the relationship that I have with my parents now, it's giving me a good enough perspective to understand just how quick life is. Because it seems just like yesterday that I'm over here at UMC when my daughter's being born and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And now she's turning 6.
Wow, man.
Yeah, on the 13th.
Awesome, man. That's badass.
Absolutely. So, you know, my daughter, she's everything for me, man. It's funny.
What's her name?
Brooke.
Brooke. Shout out Brooke, man. I hope you guys are watching right now.
Go. Dude, I get so many questions about this all the time.
And per beat, like they thought you were like in a gang or something?
I got pulled over one time, and you know, I was just being cool about it. I sweat bullets when I'm around cops, dude. I get nervous because I'm just like, I don't want to say anything the wrong way. I don't want to piss anybody off. Yeah. You know, and I'm trying to be like, you know, cooperative. And this lady, she's drilling me with questions, and she's like, what's that tattoo mean? And I'm just like, oh, it's for my kid. You know, like, but dude, I'm over here freaking out. I'm just like, oh God. But
imagine that, man. You're getting a tattoo because you love your kid, and then ever since then, everybody's wondering what the hell the tattoo is.
Dude, it's the placement. You know what I mean? It's funny. But like, that's just the cool thing though, man. Like, you can do so many things to set yourself apart from other people. And I mean, if it's just misinterpreted, it's misinterpreted. Like, like your creative differences, artistic differences, even food.
Yeah. So like getting back to that, man, like, so mom and pops raises you, like you said, with that kind of balance. And then you get this humility as you're leaving high school. I mean, where's your direction at that point? Was it food?
I don't think I had a good direction at that point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, were you working?
I was working, but it felt really aimless. You know, and up until I actually had my kid, it kind of seemed like everything I did between that point and like leaving high school felt like filler.
Mm-hmm. So if I do the math, I guess you must have been 22 when you had your kid?
23, yeah.
23?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, did you cook between 18 and 23?
I did.
Okay.
So,
but you just, it's aimless. You were just getting money and getting a check?
That's all it was. And it didn't feel like it was anything worth participating in. And then, you know, given that I had that experience with food, restaurant jobs were always my go-to.
Yeah.
So right out of high school, me and my two best friends at the time, we worked at this place called Sparrows. It was like this deep dish pizza place.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of it. Yeah, definitely.
Dude, that was a long time ago. And like that was my first like, you know, interaction with like working with a ton of people all at once and different personalities. Like,
for sure,
restaurants to me, when I first walked into it, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like eclectic. Everybody's from every corner of the fucking world and personality and
it's
everything.
Crazy. And then it was at that moment that, you know, I realized I wanted to do food, you know, professionally. And I had little to no structure when it came to my idea or my plan for school. And I never felt confident in my studies as a student because I didn't have the heart in it.
So I'm sorry. So is this when you had your kid? You feel like you want to go to culinary school?
I didn't go to culinary school.
So what you're talking about school though? You said you wanted to? It was something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, it was something I wanted to do and see through. But you know, ultimately, it just wasn't for me. Okay. And you know, one of the biggest things in my life was having to admit to my family, you know, and my daughter's mother at the time, you know, I want to do food. You know, my family had a bunch of different plans.
What did you feel like? What do you mean?
I felt like I was going to disappoint them. I felt ashamed and I felt
embarrassed. Is it the salary?
It was that, and then just the fact that, like, you know, my parents both being blue collar workers themselves, you know, there's certain things that as a parent you don't want your kid to go through because you know the hardships involved with it. Like when I'm cooking with Brooke, she'll constantly tell me, Dad, I want to be a chef like you. Dad, I want to be this and I want to be that. And immediately my heart runs to like all the bad things. So like my dad, like I said, now that we're cool and we're at this point in my life, I talked to him about that and I asked him, I'm like, hey, why'd you give me such a hard time, dude? Like, I love what I love. Why couldn't you understand that? And he was like, because I love you too much. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, I love you too much to let you be in a position where things are unpredictable. And it's not that he didn't think I could do it because he's like, you're hard-headed. If you want to do something, you're set on it. He's like, but I just don't think that you would have done well enough in it and you would have only become discouraged.
Yeah, I think that's us as parents. We can't we can't judge them. I mean, you know, much love because like we try to control like our love. You know, we want to be loved in a certain way. Me personally, I know that for sure. I have two daughters that are 14 and 15. It's gonna be 15 and 16 coming up. Is that or no? Maybe I don't know. They're old, man. That's but awesome. The thing is that like I've always been like, oh, you should love me like this. You know what I mean? This is who I am. I'm your dad. But you can't do that. You know what I mean? And the same way with the passion, like if my son says like, oh, I want to be a cheffer, he calls it a cheffer. I want to be a cheffer like you did.
Cooker, cheffer.
And I'm like, I honestly, I was thinking like, I should think like you. because it is a fucking hard job. It's a hard life. You know what I mean?
Man. It's hard.
But I'm the type of person, I guess, that hopefully and subconsciously I was just like encouraging his passion in whatever it is. And that's my drive. It's like, I wish I would have been in a better place with my girls to be like, hey, what's your passion? And I remember they were painting one time, and that's why I bought them a bunch of painting and like stencils and stuff like that to like fulfill. Is that your passion? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like I think in one way, like, that I have good parenting skills is that like I try to drive their passions, figure out what they love and what they don't love, and then manipulate it. Like wrestling. I don't know if your daughter's in any kind of sports or anything like that.
She did soccer for a while. We did it for one season. I coached the team, and like at the end of the game, like we made it close to the championship. We're at like the second to last game. We ended up losing, and I'm all thinking to myself, like, oh, these kids are going to be so upset, dude. And I turn over to them, and they're like, Coach, are we done? I'm like, yeah, guys, we lost. They all cheered. Yeah,
it's more of like the participation, like the organized participation they really enjoy. My son plays t-ball too, and it's like, he doesn't, I'm telling him, like, your record was this for the season. He doesn't know what the record means. He doesn't care. I'm like, you got 5 home runs. He's like, cool, I got one. You got one, you know what I mean? So yeah, I understand that completely, man. Kids are freaking awesome though.
Dude, kids really love that.
Give us that retrospect of like where we are in life all the time, man.
Absolutely. That camaraderie in sports is what's like, I think what a lot of people thrive for. And you see the same thing in kitchens, you know, you're dealing with guys from different walks of life, and like the one thing that's constant for all of us is this united goal that we have to succeed as a kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
each station and each position, each fulfill.
I love sports for that exact same reason, because like I had a brotherhood, and it felt good that no matter what was going on at home or how I felt that day, you know, once I clocked in or once I got ready for a game, you know, it was just me and my boys, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that sense of belonging is so important for a lot of people, and it's what keeps them coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where you establish a lot of your consistency because you thrive to be a part of a community.
Yeah, if I could relate with the audience real quick, like if you're watching a football game and like, you know, there's 15 players on the field, they're going up and down, crashing each other's heads all day long, and then, you know, what does it come down to? A field goal. So there he goes, this guy trotting up the field and kicks a field goal. It's kind of like when they at the end of the banquet, and then you have dessert come up, and you know that little fancy little dish comes up, and you're sweating your ass off. You're like just trying to get it out. Like, here, take the last plate, and you're like, you know, it takes a whole team. It's not going to be just one person that's going to win the game. You know what I mean? It's not just one chef that maybe they built the menu, but it was a lot of hands that made that
execution.
The execution is big. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
front of the house. I mean, how they conveyed it to the actual patron, you know, that's eating and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a big production.
Absolutely.
Food is.
Absolutely. You got to have a good head on your shoulders to run those kinds of operations, because you need to be somebody. It's so hard to set a good example now.
Yeah.
Because you're catering to so many different personalities in restaurants. You can never tell how somebody's going to be one day versus the next. So I think a lot of what is so important for me as a chef, in my opinion at least, is being able to maneuver a lot of that.
Okay.
Being able to navigate a lot of that. Life happens. And I think I feel a lot more personable with my cooks because I have been in their shoes. And one of my good friends, Sean Bush, works out at Casa Pantera. You know, he told me one time, he's like, when you're working with somebody, put yourself in their shoes. Sure. And, you know, me being 29, I'm not that much older, but I'm not that much younger.
Sure.
So, like, I can go talk to some of my green guys who don't know a thing about food. And, you know, I get upset when things go wrong, and I'm just like, there's no way this happened. Like, we wrote it out perfectly. You have your mise en place. You have your prep list. Like, I went to work over this. Like, it should, you know, click with you. But, you know, when I was 22, was I listening to anybody? No.
Thank God he's half listening to you, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. So you just got to be more. You have to understand
adaptable. To different people. Yeah,
it's easier said than done, dude.
It really is. Yeah, but as a manager, just maybe a chef manager for sure, you have to really kind of be patient. I learned to be a good coach. You know what I mean? Put them in the position to either fail or win, and then, you know, and then figure it out after that. You know what I mean? Like, coach them on how to be better every day. And if they don't want to be better, then there's a problem. I remember, just like we were talking about before the podcast. So I just want to go back, Chef Jacob, as far as your culinary expertise. How did you develop it?
A lot of it is trial and error, and a lot of it was things that were self-taught. So at home, I have tons of books, dude. Tons of books. I didn't go to culinary school. I always played around with the idea of it. You know, I did the submit form and all this other stuff, and then my email got blown up by spam from like Escoffier or Johnson & Wales.
True, yeah, exactly.
You know, and like I really, really wanted to commit into it, but I never had the time.
Yeah, and me as somebody who went to culinary school, I don't like say, oh, everybody's got to go to culinary school. It's more of like, it's a time space that you learn kitchen brigade, French cooking. You get a little bit of it's almost like a pause, you know what I mean, in your cooking career. Because I did cook at the time, but it was more a lax job. You know what I mean? I was going to college and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's people actually doing the actual chef work and going to culinary school. That's tough.
Intense.
That's intense. It really is, man, to get the grade and stuff like that. Because I don't think as chefs we're really apt to getting grades, or to going to school and stuff like that. Like you said, you were pretty bad in school and high school and stuff like that. I was the same way, man.
That's what frustrated my parents. Is like they were like, "We know you're smart. Like, what's going on?"
Oh yeah, I heard that 100 times. We know you have potential. Like, why are you skipping a whole week of school? It's
dude, it's just because it's not what interests you.
Yeah, it really didn't. Yeah,
you can't deny what you do and do not care for.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's easy for you to commit hours at a time to doing something you love because you love it.
Oh yeah.
Which is why, like, when I made that decision to jump into food, it was difficult for me. But ultimately, what they did understand was, like, this is what Mijo loves and this is what he wants to do. Yeah. And since then, I just hit the ground running, whether it was, like, staying up until, like, 3 a.m., making food and just practicing, dude. Like,
let me ask you about your cooking history. So where was the first restaurant, regardless of what it was, what type of restaurant, where was the first restaurant that you felt like pretty confident in your station?
Ooh, the first restaurant I felt confident in my station. So like, are you familiar with Joe Vinny and Bronson's?
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, so that place always holds a special place in my heart.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they have fucking love food. That food is like full of love every time you get a plate. For sure.
Dude, so Bobby and Christina, the owners, dude, they were some of the nicest people I've ever worked for. And to this day, I would honestly like argue some of the best bosses I ever had.
There you go.
And so like they made the environment so welcoming for me that I felt confident in what I did because they supported me every step of the way. And see, I wasn't over here doing any crazy fine dining, or there was no technique involved with certain things. It was just good food.
Sure.
And that's all it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I was still held accountable and responsible for certain things. So it's not like I came in and it was all like sunshine and dandelions. Like there were still conversations where it's like, Jacob, we need to get this together. We need to fix up this. We need to fix up that. I've worked with tons of people, and realistically speaking, dude, those two to this day, like I said, some of the best experience that I've had in a kitchen, and they made me feel confident enough in myself that I was able to take on a lot of these other responsibilities and roles. You know what I mean? And even though it was just, making like 420 fries, I don't know, dude, those are my favorite thing on earth.
I think I remember that on the menu. I didn't order it, but yeah.
Pesto salsa? Delicious.
Yeah? Well, just recently I had the wings over at Ay Dios Mío.
Okay.
It's a mixture of like a guajillo flavor and the buffalo sauce, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, dude, it was fucking good. So yeah, when you said that.
Dude, Enrique's combinations, I love them.
Yeah, dude, definitely. Shout out to Enrique.
You know what I mean?
Lozano over there at Ay Dios Mío, man.
Yeah.
For real. And then he's got that Francis Mallman with the whole like charring fucking vegetables and shit on hangers and shit.
You know what, dude? I honestly wish I knew more about that because I look at that sometimes.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody's good at what they do. I still don't know a lot. I think I'm never going to be a perfect chef.
To me, I don't know. This is kind of weird, but as a chef, it's like it reminds me of like a Red Room for like fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck is that? Dude? You know what I mean? Like, what is that shit?
Because just looking at shit.
But I would love to fucking do it, bro. Yeah. Whatever the fuck it is,
Like I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
I want to try it. Exactly,
dude. And that's like so common with cooks and chefs, dude. Like we just look at things and it's just like.
Can I play with it?
No idea what this is, but I'm gonna get into it anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely, dude. Fucking pasta machine. Tell me when you first saw a pasta machine, dude.
Oh, dude. Okay, so I had a chef at Cafe Central. His name was Casey, and this guy was sick with pasta, dude. Okay. Sick with pasta. He had a lot of experience, and I learned a good number of things underneath him. And one of the things that he got me hooked on was pasta.
Yeah, and I noticed you have a good knack on pasta, man.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. And that was my first interaction with communicating with other chefs outside of my restaurant. And that was Chewy from Casanova. I started posting my pastas. Dude, I would stay until like 2 a.m, rolling pastas and stuff. Sheesh, you know what I mean? Like, homies are going out to drink because you're working downtown. There's nothing but bars around you.
For sure.
And there were nights where like, I'd be locked up in the kitchen by myself, get the speaker on full blast, and just roll all night. Man. And it felt something that was incredibly cathartic for me. In life, there's just so many things that go up and down, but cooking was one of those constants that I had control over. And it's still to this day one of those things that I appreciate and I love the absolute hell out of.
So I wish that I was able to get that that feeling from I would say I do, but I've never delved into it like you're talking about. I meditate. I really do. I get into my thoughts and I really try to figure out what motivates me daily and stuff like that. So in those moments, I believe you're doing a type of meditation. I mean, with the music, with the being by yourself, really getting into your art and stuff like that. Did that help you like in those times? Because I mean, I was out there at the bar, dude. I'll be honest with you, man. I was chefing it up with my chef coat, and I would be at the bar with my chef coat. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, dude. No, don't get me wrong. I would have nights like that too.
Yeah, okay.
You can't lie and say, yeah, I was committed every day. Like, dude,
we're
human beings. We need to like.
But I'll tell you, I've never ever stayed till 2 a.m. doing pasta though. I mean, that's a different level, dog. That's a different level, dog.
You know what? For better or for worse, I've always been obsessed with food.
Good. That's awesome,
and
man.
you know
that's
what?
Awesome,
there have been moments where I have made the wrong choice because of my commitment to it, and then there have been moments where it's led me to like great opportunities because of my commitment to it. And so
it's a passion, man. Yeah,
absolutely.
The gift and the curse.
Dude, no, you're telling me.
Yeah.
You know, because for me, it meant something to me that I was able to lend a hand in somebody's experience. You know what I mean? Like growing up, food was very pivotal and it was a staple for me. And yeah, dude, growing up, we did what we could. Mom did what she could. And we had like random ingredients and stuff. And like I said, I had no idea what went behind the process of making food. And I mean, as a kid, do you really care? You know what I mean?
No, like you said, you were doing whatever you were doing, and then you showed up, and then like the plate was
absolutely.
There.
You know, so like as I got older, that's when, you know, as a kid, I don't know, I didn't really have the best relationship with my parents, but you know, once I got older and I realized a lot of the hard work that they put into making certain meals, and then like what little they had to work with, and like what the end product was.
That adult retrospect of what your parents were going through. You know, you're like, why are you such idiots when why do you do that? But then you like grow up and you're like, damn, they were only like 25 or they were only like 30, and I'm 30 right now. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I'm turning 30 this year, and I'm just like,
exactly, man. They were just trying to do their best, man. They didn't know what the hell was going on. So
like now that I see what effort, you know, was being put into those meals, man, you know, it made me realize like this is a very important thing. And so, you know, food is one of those things that needs to be respected, dude, because you think about food can create life, food can end life, allergic reactions and all this other kind of stuff. There's so many parallels between life and food, man. For example, I don't know if you think this will sound crazy or not, but when you're blanching and shocking vegetables, you get your water to a rolling boil. You know what I mean? I think about it like trajectory in life. You know, there's moments where you're just rolling through stuff and you're crushing things left and right, like accomplishing all your goals and stuff. And then you kind of think to yourself, okay, maybe I can handle a lot more. And then you kind of like crash and burn because you should have been more patient. You should have been a lot more calm and you should have waited. When you're blanching and shocking vegetables and you got your rolling boil, you know, little bit at a time, keeps it nice and green, perfect and beautiful. Your water,
vibrant,
your water stays boiling. You know what I mean? But in life, you know, you could ruin your good trajectory by getting ahead of yourself and getting a big ego and thinking, oh, cool, like there's nothing I can't do now.
Right.
You know, so that fine line between like confidence and ego.
Oh, nice.
Very, very thin line to
nice, man. That's actually a question that I ask a lot on the podcast is that line between confidence and cockiness.
Yeah.
You were teetering, kind of talking about it because like you lived it. It's like your mom necessarily was a confident person, but she was she taught you humility.
Absolutely.
Whereas your dad was maybe more macho and prideful and stuff like that. So you, from perspective, from like, you know, you were able to get that balance. Some people lean one way or the other. Like my mom probably was like that, and I leaned more toward my dad. That's how you get through life, is being tough and intimidating and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Nobody can be tougher than you. Type shit.
But I think what you're trying to say is just know your limits, like whatever.
100%.
100%.
Because I can't tell you how many times I could have avoided situations had I just like shut the hell up and not put my foot in my mouth. Because I think being confident is the ability to admit your shortcomings and know when you can't do something, but you're able to learn.
Right.
When you're egotistical, you refuse to like, you know, acknowledge the warning signs, and you're just like, it doesn't matter because I'm so great, it's gonna get done. Like, that's
I'm right. I'll get it, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
We as chefs would do that sometimes though too. You know,
you can't help it sometimes because you know, like I said earlier, you get into this role and you get into this streak, and you know, your kitchen crew is picking up the slack and they're working together, and then you know, you got dinner specials going out the door, and you're like, okay, the people are vibing with what I'm putting out there, so it feels amazing. And then, you just find yourself in these situations where it's incredibly difficult to stop yourself sometimes. And I think a lot of people have that mistake where they don't understand, where to draw the line.
Okay, so this goes along the line of my next question. Where do you get your discipline from? And I notice you work out a lot on your IG.
I do.
It's part of your life, your everyday life, right?
Yeah.
So where do you get that discipline from? Where does it stem from?
So for me, you know what? I've always been into exercise. It's just like food. It's one of those things where I'm in control.
Right.
I create the end result. And, for me, I was always a heavier kid. So a lot of my comfort foods definitely contributed to the way I looked as a younger kid.
Sure.
So they both kind of went hand in hand together. You know what I mean? At some point when I got old enough, I finally made my way into the gym and I was like, okay, I can take control over this now. And this is something that's going to be mine. It's my alone time.
Right.
And just like we talked about pasta being cathartic, the gym is just as cathartic for me. So I relate food and working out because it is it's an individual thing where you go as far as you want.
Okay.
You can do to your body whatever you want to do to it, just like you can make food as good as you want it to be.
Right.
And so for me, especially as a dad, you know what I mean? I have those ridiculous guy scenarios play out in my head where it's like, if a bear approached me and my kid right now, could I take that? Obviously not.
We all think that. Just so you know, all dads believe and think that, so we have to be prepared for that moment.
Every single one of us is ready to take on that bear. Every single one of us.
But grizzly ass, fuck yeah.
But that's the thing though, man. For me, it's just one of those staples. And like I said, setting the example for these kids.
Yeah.
When we talk about generational differences amongst chefs, one of my biggest bones to pick is people saying that they don't make them like they used to anymore. The younger generation has no work ethic. Nobody knows how to hustle anymore. And that's entirely wrong. I've got kids who are young, 20 years old, 19, 18, and it's more about the environment you create for them.
That's what I was going to ask.
Nobody's creating that environment. Very few people do that where they facilitate growth for those younger kids because, they feel uncertain about going above and beyond because they don't want to be scrutinized. Sure. They don't want to be, talked down to.
Sure, understand.
When you love something like food or anything in general, the last thing you want to hear is, you suck and da-da-da-da-da.
Why did you do that or something?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. As opposed to hey, this didn't work out. Let's figure out where you went wrong. Yeah. And it's a lot of patience.
Ton of patience. Yeah. I've worked with younger and I've actually being a business owner. I'm a chef that travels, but I'm also a business owner. So I'm well, let me hire these young cats. I'll get them in, train them, and then they'll be chefs eventually. I mean, they'll love it as much as I do. That's just
they'll figure it out.
That's utopia. What happens is most of the youngers are either they're culinary school or they've worked at McDonald's or some low level place. So I've had the notion that they have some type of skills. They don't, you know what I mean? So you have to start from square one, give them those skills. And like you said, facilitate those skills that you teach them and not just expect things. Cause I do find myself in the crunch time. I'm why don't you know this? You know what I mean?
Why aren't you pulling the weight like I am?
Yeah. But it's I don't think I've really coached him in that. And if I have, I don't think I've really helped him grow and be confident to get it on the fly. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely understand that. It's the environment that you create for the young chef, but also patience. Patience, yeah, for sure.
Patience is a virtue, man. Parenthood's taught me that. And, even now to this day, dude, I still could be a much more patient person. And I think my biggest thing for me is I don't put myself on a pedestal ever. You know what I mean? Where I'm at now versus where I was at a couple of years ago, two very different places. But let me tell you something, when it comes to food and food being as subjective as it is, I think regardless of whatever level you're executing at, you owe it to the person giving their hard-earned money to give them a good meal. Whether it's a chicken sandwich or if you're doing a Chilean sea bass with citrus per blanc and all these other accoutrements. Right. And I think no matter of the level, man, I think what shows is the love. And you can definitely see nowadays, there's so much love for food, and I love that. I adore it. I wish it would have come sooner because, like I mentioned earlier, there have been tons of people that I've met in my upbringing that never truly received their flowers. They were constantly putting a lot of work on their shoulders with little to no recognition.
Yeah, and I could shout out a dude named Jason, man. There was a restaurant I went to, Dominic's Italian restaurant. Did you remember that place?
I've always
it was by the airport, but it was one of those places that like I had gotten out of culinary school, worked at a couple fancy restaurants, and then done some things. But like I kind of had a little bit of maybe a little bit of ego, right? But not anything. And then so I walk in this restaurant and this dude teaches me saute, but like badass.
Yeah.
Like he turned me into a fucking saute right there in like a month. So every day I'd come in, it was like 3 positions, and like you'd randomly pick one and you'd already fall into one, and I'd pray, can I do saute? I just want to do saute every time. But like, eventually I was doing saute so much I was taking his position. You know what I mean? So I think, you know what I mean, like that happens to where those people that are just badass and not getting their kudos and their you know what I mean, because they just don't speak up or whatever the case may be, and then they move on or whatever happens, you know what I mean, they'd stop cooking. So yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you, man.
I like that he did that though, because I think in my experience, what I'm told often is chefs always want to train their replacements.
Yeah.
And that's where you got to drop the ego out the door, dude. You want a team of people that are as capable as you.
I think maybe in your 20s, you're in your 20s, so you really embrace
29.
that. You can embrace that though, because I think I was like, fuck you, you're not taking my position. Like you can't do it like this. You can make a white sauce like that. You know what I mean? Like you're making brown tan sauces over there. You know what I mean? Like
oh yeah, absolutely. But like as a chef, you know, you walk in and as long as you know your stuff and you know what kind of product you put out, you don't really need to speak so much on it. And I think it's cool because with this crew that I have now. Like I said, I'm dealing with a variety of cooks, dude. I've got kids who have never touched a saute pan. I've got kids who have worked different jobs, like far from what it is that we're trying to do here. And I think the one constant thing for me has always been that they see that I'm capable of these things, but I'm not rubbing it in their faces or anything like that, dude, because I had tons of like previous coworkers and bosses like, you're not as good as me, you're not as fast as me, you're not as clean as me. And yeah, you know what I mean? I'm the type of guy, like you talk to me that way, like, oh no, I'm going to get fired up. Like, oh no, screw you. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, bet. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Like, that only made me a bitter person. And when I finally was able to accomplish a lot of the things that I set out to accomplish, I was so bitter that I wasn't satisfied with my accomplishments because I wasn't happy and I wasn't satisfied.
Makes sense.
Because the bar was constantly being thrown up higher and higher and higher. And then once I realized, like, I'm in a vicious cycle of just, like, constantly never giving myself, like, an applause. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like to do what I do for a pat on the back. I like to do what I do because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. I show up to work on time. I get my job done. We hold the boys accountable, you know, make good food and get out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, looking at it that way now, it's funny because, you know, before it was life or death for me. The success and the failure of the restaurants that I worked at affected me so deeply. And that's just because I cared so much about my line of work. But I also left everything behind to pursue food. So when I wasn't doing well in food, I immediately felt that pressure where, oh shit, we got a bad review and now I'm going to have a bad week and now everyone is going to have to hear about it because I'm in a bad mood because of this and that. Like, that's not the way it works. You know, you separate yourself from the job and you don't ever use a restaurant as your identity. And that was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I think if I were to go back to my 20s and just say, give that dude some advice, I would be like, you know what I mean, have some humility. And then also, you're replaceable.
Absolutely.
You're replaceable, dude. So, like, I know you want to be the best saute or the best at what you're doing, but, like, I think working as a collective and making fry better in that little amount of time you have extra is going to help out the whole collective much better. It's going to make every plate look better. It's going to make every patron a little bit happier. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely, man. I just definitely grew up in a hot environment, dude. And every chef, every kitchen I went to, it was like, whose dick's bigger? You know what I mean? Seriously. So now that I'm like, doing personal chefing and I'm, like you said, independent, I just want to bring the food. So that's my main thing, is bringing the food, the quality to people who are like not accustomed to the type of foods, you know, the beurre blanc sauces and, you know, marinating for 12 hours, you know, all this stuff.
All these techniques and
stuff like that, trying to bring it to them. So, but now that I'm hiring though, I want to grow the business, or, you know, that's a big question for an entrepreneur, is like growing the business. And that's where I'm at. And all these things translate to not only chefing or business, to all businesses, you know what I mean? Like, give your employees the environment to grow, you know what I mean? And be a good coach and have some humility. Don't let your ego take over, even though you want to, you know, make your business the best. Let that to put that to the side. Yeah, keep it to the side and think about the art of what you're trying to bring to the patrons. You know what I mean?
Man, you got to let your work speak for you, because you know what? Being in this field, social media controls everything. It really does.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you could be the best chef in the world, but if you have little to no presence online now, in this day and age, most people will never hear about you. And it sucks, because there's so many great cooks out there that, you know what I mean? Like, I've worked with kids that would blow myself out of the water, dude.
Sure, yeah.
100 times over.
Sure.
And it's insane to me, because, you find a lot of people that just simply don't care about that. And they do the job to do the job.
Sure.
And that's the craziest thing to me. And that's why I carry myself the way I carry myself, because I'm like, these people do what they do and they don't expect anything of it. Yeah. But for me, my gratification is when I'm at home, my work group chat is popping off, and it's like these kids sending me photos of their plates.
Dude.
And they're like,
I envy that. That's dope, man. That's fucking badass, bro. That's awesome. Really cool, man.
Because you got these younger guys who are all hyped, dude. Like,
yeah.
I got this one kid, his name's Pablo. Shout out Pablo. Dude, he puts in the work. I'm telling you, man, this kid had like hair down to his shoulders, would come to work, and like his hair wouldn't necessarily be the neatest. He didn't have a chef coat either. So I hooked him up with a chef coat just to get him like properly uniformed, because I'm like, dude, you got to dress the part. And I get it. We're working at a restaurant where you think you feel a little goofy for doing that, but let me tell you something. You start to do that becomes the status quo, and you have to pick up the traction to do that. You have to make it a habit. Going to the gym, made it a habit. Studying food every chance I have, made it a habit. And it all started with me feeling uncomfortable first, and really uncertain of my abilities to do these types of things. But now, like I said, this kid, he's got his chef coat. He cut all his hair off, dude. It was insane.
Nice.
Like, he was like, yeah, it took me 2 years to grow this off. And then, like, the next day, he's like, dude, like, shaved head.
Nice.
And I'm just like, damn.
It's a like, I'm telling you, it's a passion. And I want to say, like, I'm going to give it to somebody one day, but you can't just give passion to somebody. No. So I know what you're talking about, because that's where I learned. I was 16 years old. I worked in an Italian restaurant. It was a trattoria, and this dude would saute. Shout out Chef Cliff. He would saute his ass off. I mean, he'd already prepped all day, but he'd saute his ass off, cook everything, throw the plates out. I used to be like, why is he going so fast? Yeah. And it's because he'd have that extra 5-10 minutes to go out there and ask, hey, how's your plate? How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. How's the family and stuff like that. And I'm watching him like making pizzas, like throwing the last cleaning up. I'm like, I love this shit, dude. You know what I mean? But I didn't know. It took probably, like, if I'm 16, it took, like years till I really understood that food would be my passion. You know what I mean? And giving food is that because like I asked Chef Sims, what's your actual passion? And he's like, I think I'm a creative. And I'm like, that's interesting as fuck, man. I thought it was gonna be simple, like food, or I love, I like serving food. I like giving good food. You know what I mean?
You like hospitality.
Yeah,
you love it. Master of ceremony, all that type of vibe.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So, and the art of it too, man. Like recently, like I see some of the plates you do and like the colors. So I've been into coulis and taking the time to make the garnish and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys are inspiring, man. I just want to say, like, between you, Chef Olivares, Chef Daniel, Chef Sims, Chef Lozano, it's a good circle, man. Like, just to know you guys and be associated with artists like you guys, man. Seriously. So I was gonna ask about like your signature dish. If you were to have like 1 or 2 signature dishes, like what would it be?
Ooh, dang,
like signature, like that's your flavor, not necessarily like something that's flair. But yeah.
Dude, I don't know. We had this conversation, like my final meal, lasagna. But like, absolutely. And the reason is that, like, it's just one of those things that's nostalgic for me, man. And like we mentioned, food is subjective. I could speak day and night about how much I love it.
Do you put lasagnas on your menus?
No, not yet. You know what? It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of maintenance and prep.
You don't think that it'll be appreciated?
Not that it wouldn't be appreciated, but just that it wouldn't be executed correctly. So I'm the type of person, I would never speak on something until I'm 100% confident about it. So I work very low key. My friends, I tell them everything, obviously, but when it comes to the public eye, I try to remain very, very quiet about what I work on. And the same goes for my food. If I know in my heart of hearts that we can't execute it, I'll kill a dish.
I have no problem with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I wouldn't go out of my way to like speak volumes about something, and then we put it out in front of somebody, and they're like, no.
86 that shit.
No, for sure, lasagna, dude. You know, it's one of those laborious things that I truly adore, and I think it's something that you serve somebody, and you serve it with purpose because it takes so long to make it. Just like with anything else that takes time. You know what I mean? You do it with the intent of nourishing the person that you're delivering it to. And so for me, it's not that it's the nicest looking dish or the best looking dish. It's more about the principle behind it. And I try to think about things like that. You know, food is a lot more than just what goes in your stomach, man. There's a lot more facets to it, I feel.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
And it's so fucking cool when you see people who are like, oh yeah, my inspiration is this artist or that artist. And like, you know, like you said with Sims, you know, being a creative, you can see a lot of the inspiration in his other interest expressed in his food.
Absolutely.
And the same goes for everybody else. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own niche and their own aesthetic, and they appeal to certain demographics because they fit certain roles. But it's cool because we're the culminations of all of our interests.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you get to see that kind of put forth for some people.
Yeah, dude.
And it's nice. You get to understand somebody, specifically chefs, about the way they serve food, about the way they plate food. You know what I mean? If they care. Some people, they'll just throw stuff on a plate and just be like, man. But even that tells you all you need to know about somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and like even like Chef Graham, like backwards chef, but he's gonna put the most beautiful, flavorful plates together.
Oh yeah,
like I love the way he does his work, man. Seriously, and
dude, he's so cool because he's so laid back,
yeah,
and then
dude,
he'll drop like some of the most mind-changing food in front of you.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's a talent, but he does it with the easy stroke. And I said before nonchalant, and I mean that in no disrespect, man. It's just that like the way he does it is very smooth.
But that's where you have the fine line between ego and confidence. Like he's confident enough to not be boastful about it in your face because it's like, hey, what's up? This is me, down to earth as I come. Here's my food. You know what I mean?
Much respect, dude. And I think that's the way of the new chef is to be humility, to have humility.
Yeah.
And just you know what I mean? Because that's so respectful. That's so much more respectful. People embrace you more. I'm willing to fucking do anything for any of you guys, man. Seriously, like at any time. Describe your creative process when inventing new dishes.
I'm always working backwards. So
backwards?
Always. So you know what I mean? Like if you're talking about work, I'll always think of a dish and I'll think of the components and I'll make a grocery list and I'll make a prep list. So if I'm talking about work and I'm creating a dish, the grocery list is going to be like, what am I adding to my order guide to create this? And then the prep list is, what am I adding to my station mise en place list so my crew can assemble this?
Right.
And then everything else as far as teaching and executing, like I handle the rest.
Right.
I'll always do demos for them. I'll take my time to teach these guys. We'll do lineups with the servers. And that's interesting. You know, restaurants all work so differently. And coming into Block where I'm at now, you know, this is an establishment that has been around for quite some time now. And it just seemed to have lost a lot of the love that was needed in that kitchen. So, you know, we put a lot of elbow grease into that. And now I'm finding myself in this same place again where I'm creating different dishes. And it's kind of like dusting off some dust on an old bike. Because when I was at Cedar, I was creating dishes all the time.
Like inventing them.
Yeah. The lunch menu, dinner menu, brunch menu, happy hour menu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there wasn't anything that I did not have any part of in that restaurant.
Nice.
And so doing the same thing over again here and working with like people of different skill sets, it makes you evaluate your approach because it doesn't always work out for everybody.
Right, sure.
You know, so but working backwards 100%. I like to visualize what it is that I want to put together, and then I need to figure out how to get to that point from there. So break down everything from like a sauce to a protein to a starch and a vegetable.
Sounds like executive chef work right there, man. Because like as a sous, you're more like taking the orders and then making the crew go with that.
Oh, dude, sous chefs are always the bulldogs of the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like where the executive is the brain, and you create what he makes. You know, the sous chef enforces that. And my experience as a sous chef, that was a lot of my roles where it's like, not that you're doing the dirty work, but you are in charge of handling things that the chef shouldn't have to take care
and you can always go to the exec and tell him, hey, look at this dish I made, and just, you know, and he can put it on the menu just like that. There's no problem with that whatsoever, but it's more of carrying out the exec's orders per se, but more of his vision.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Of the menu, of how it's going to be presented to the patron and all that stuff.
But you do need to be underneath the right person because I believe we're all examples, but it's in our hands whether we're a good or a bad one.
You say it again?
I think that we're all examples, but it's within our hands whether we're a good or a bad one.
Oh, definitely, dude. That goes back to the discipline when I'm
like
talking
whether we know it or not, we're
sure.
influencing people, and
Definitely,
sometimes like we don't realize what weight our actions hold until after it's all said and done.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. When I saw a quote, because I could do bouldering, which is climbing indoors, and it's like you do the task first and then you get the courage.
Yeah.
And you don't, there's no other way of thinking about it. And so you're like, I'm just going to do this because I'm going to be scared.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard. So just do it, and then you get it's just a process. So you're just sorry that you get the courage afterwards, but you just got to do it. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a great quote, man. So that's what motivates me get up on the wall. I went back. I took my daughters. My daughters were up and down the wall.
Oh wow! Have you ever been in that one over there off Executive?
Sessions? That's the one. Or Executive, that's the cave.
Yeah, no. I remember I went there for the first time ever, like some years ago. Yeah. Oh my god, I didn't realize.
It's a good workout.
I underestimated that shit.
It's fucking bad. A whole body workout, man. It's really cool, man. Because like I'm not really good at lifting weights. I'm not the most disciplined person, so like going to just lift weights, it's not really interesting to me. But what happened was I got into kickboxing, and being that I was like, doing the moves or whatever, and getting like, apt to the training, I was like, I need to strength train. I need to get stronger. So I started to lift weights and stuff like that. So little by little, I'm figuring it out. But the indoor climbing, that's a full body workout, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm all thinking to myself like, oh, dude, I'm shoulder pressing 50 pounds in each arm. Like, this is nothing. Nah, I got wiped out immediately, dude. I'm a heavier guy.
Yeah.
So when I fell hard.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they taught you how to fall, because it's tough, man. And
I just told you I'm a bad student. You think I paid attention when they taught me how to fall? I'm just kidding.
How about maybe take your daughter there, check it out.
You know what's so funny with her is that, she talks a big game and then she gets scared. But what's even funnier is she is not afraid of things she should be afraid of.
Oh.
In Central, specifically around Houston Elementary School, it used to be Houston Elementary School, there's this big concrete bridge going over Alabama.
Yeah.
And my parents just live right around in the area, so we're going out for a walk, because I take my daughter out for walks all the time. I try to keep her away from tablets and stuff like that, dude. Good. I was a kid who was outside. I was always outside and stuff like that. So we get onto this bridge. I'm shitting bricks. I'm shaking. I'm like squeezing the fence. You know what I mean? And she's over here giggling and laughing.
Same.
Having a good time. The best time ever.
Same.
And then like by the time we cross the bridge over to the other side and we go on about our walk, I'm like, oh, thank God. And then she's like, Dad, on our way back, can we go back again? And I'm just like,
Same. I have a 5-year-old. I took him to Waco Tanks.
Yeah.
And man, I had a heart attack just because he wanted to just go, I'm like, I wanted you to fall first. So you see, like, just fall right here real quick. Just fall over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like learn how dangerous this is.
Because I think he didn't know. Like, he just was like Superman. Like, I'm going to climb up this and do that and do this.
Dude, don't you just admire that about kids, though?
I do, man. Kids are resilient, man. They just
don't know yet, so they just go into it fearlessly. Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's the absolute truth, man. And I don't want to bring up a bad subject, but it's actually a good thing, a really positive thing. My daughter, when she was 5 years old, had a kidney cancer.
Yeah.
And to watch her go through chemotherapy, radiation, and stuff like that, like, I cannot say the resiliency of kids. It gives you a different outlook on life, the way that you're like, oh, I got a cut, or this burn is never gonna heal right, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, these little things in life, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, you don't even know, you know what I mean? Like, she was just like, when can I go play?
Yeah.
What do I gotta do? Okay, this needle, all right, yeah, no problem. Like,
you're talking about like small human beings who don't know anything other than everything they've been taught up to.
Yeah, and they're like the most encouraging thing to me, dude. The most motivating thing to me.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
No, dude, a lot of times, I'll have days where I'm tired, I'm beat up, and I'll call my daughter, or she'll be with me, and no matter what kind of day I had, man, you're the best cooker ever, daddy. Dude, and that's all I need. And like, you know what, dude? Like, my confidence stems from the fact that at some point in my life, I realized I no longer wanted to have acceptance from anybody else. Right. And what mattered most to me was that I was a good father.
Right.
And as a dad, sometimes you're willing to do certain things regardless of the outcome on your behalf, as long as your kids benefit from it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, that responsibility is nothing to be played with, dude. You bring a life into this world, and that is your duty. Like, as a father, for me, and chefing, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And you asked me where the discipline comes from, and a lot of it is parenthood, dude. I do it because I want my kid to have a good example. Definitely. But I want her to understand that I make mistakes too, and I fuck up tremendously. But when I do, I do my absolute best to be more honest, dude. Like, I was such a liar growing up as a kid. Like, I would lie about everything, dude, because I was so scared about the outcome.
Yeah.
But I don't want my kid to grow up like that or like how I did, because I got myself into situations where it was like, dude, you should have just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean, dude? But for me, like, you know, I want to go as far as I can possibly with food when it comes to it, because I think about the livelihood that I want to provide for her, man, and I'm willing to put myself through whatever amount of hell it takes to get that to happen.
That's what's up, man. Hey, that's love right there, dude.
Always
that's
reading,
love, man.
Studying, tired as hell. You know what I mean? I don't care, dude.
You're a
like,
badass, man. Seriously.
Call my kiddo up and she's like, Dad, thank you. Like, we just got McDonald's. And meanwhile, I'm over here like hands on fire. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad you're having a great time.
Yeah. I see you, Chef Jacob. You do a fucking awesome job, man. You're a great father, honestly.
Thanks, man.
I really don't have, I can't say that I have enough time to put in work like you are, man. And I wish I had more time than that.
But you're still doing it for your kids, though, man.
Absolutely.
You know,
everything I do, absolutely.
Don't sell yourself short like that, brother.
Yeah. No, but I see you, man. You really, the smile from your little girl, man, that's genuine shit right there, man.
Dude, that's my best friend, man.
So, like, this is you're a chef, right? You're really like an artistic type of chef. Do you ever see like something bigger or like more entrepreneur like maybe actually opening up your own restaurant with your name on it?
I would love to. You know, I think everybody has like a concept in their back pocket.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be named after my child. 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Her middle name is Elena, and I always thought about Elena's. I love that. And dude, I think everybody's got that like wild, like, yo, if I won the lottery today, what would I do? Yeah. But you know, not too long ago, I used to do a lot of caterings myself. One of the biggest ones I did was for 200 people.
Nice. Not easy.
Not at all.
No.
It was the biggest mistake of my life. And again, this is where I'm going into detail about being honest.
Sure.
And so they were reaching out to me, and it was for the Ronald McDonald Scholarship Foundation. And they were like, hey, you know, we have an event for you if you're interested. And it was like the first ever catering event I ever did. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, cool. Like, this is perfect. You know, get myself out there, socialize, rub some elbows with people,
sure,
you know, get out there.
Yeah.
And they give me the menu, and it's simple enough. I was not prepared at all. I was not prepared at all. I underestimated that immensely.
Oh, man.
Dude, so, like, don't get me wrong. Like, the food went out. Everything went out. I had enough of everything.
Yeah.
But the work that I had to do, I had no idea because I didn't know yet. Like, you know how if you're doing catering, normally they have, like, little portion cups and stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't do that shit. I am so dumb. I had a big-ass bowl of mixed fruits, and I left tongs. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. They're only going to grab what they need. No, by 120 people, fruit bowl was diminished, and then I still had 80 more people who were like, hey, where's the rest of this? And I'm just like, shit. And you're right there. You can't leave. You're not in a kitchen. You can't go hide in the back.
Yeah.
Dude, you're just there, and you're just like,
Yeah. This is all. Yeah, it's all different settings, man. It's tough, man. But I think, did you like catering? Did you like that though? I mean, did you keep going?
I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot because it gave me an opportunity to get out of my comfort zone. So for me, I find a lot of confidence in the kitchen. But when I'm out in public, I have AirPods in all the time, head down, hoodie on, hat on, whatever the case is. But you know, for me, like getting into that, dude, it made me realize that, holy shit, I maybe I'm not that good with people, or maybe I just didn't know enough yet at the time to be a sociable person, because my communication was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, I lived under a rock, so all I knew was food. So people would try to talk to me about certain things, and I was so out of touch, I just felt like I didn't belong.
Damn. I understand though.
It encouraged me to break out of my shell a lot more, you know? So like the last time that we met over at Lola Rose when we did this event, dude, it was packed.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's a gigantic kitchen, but there was enough people in there. We were like, you know, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And it was insane. But you know what? Like before, you know, I wouldn't have ever done things like that because I was just very insecure, and I didn't feel confident in my abilities yet. So, you know, kind of like coming full circle, you know, I finally worked with a couple of people, and I've had enough bad examples in my life where I finally started to find that own growth in myself.
Nice.
I couldn't find the environment that I felt that I thrived in. So I made it my goal to create that environment. And it's easier said than done. And you know what? Dude, I got lucky. So everything that's happened to me so far in my life, yes, I've worked for them immensely, and I've put in the elbow grease for it. But you know what? Like, I've been fortunate enough to meet people that, you know, helped me get into these positions where I was able to become chefs. And that's because of their patience with me, their teachings with me, and everything like that. So, you know, it's just one of those really big things that it's important to me, you know, just lending that same experience to other people. But would I do caterings again? I'm always down for caterings, dude. Yeah. Caterings are fun. Now that I've broken out of that.
Mise en place means a different thing in catering, though.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because you don't, you got to realize, like, dude, you have to be on point.
God. And I've learned from Hard Knocks, too. I have some stories, too. A quick one is I did a catering. I don't know if I told you this, but I did a catering for El Paso magazine, I think. Mm-hmm. And they had I just been featured as like one of the like top chefs or whatever, number 2 in the city. And they're like, hey, can you cook for us? I'm like, yeah, for sure. And then, but I assumed they had a kitchen. I thought they would call me as a personal chef because they had a kitchen.
Yeah.
And I remember being there and I saw a kitchen, but it's just like a break room and it had like a toaster oven.
Oh, wow.
So like I get there like pretty close to the time that I had to cook, and I was like, nah, you know what? I just got gifted a freaking flat top, so it's an outdoor flat top, so I'll use it. But you know, the short story is basically I set up and the wind never let me light my flat top, dude. So how do you make hot food without a flat top?
I don't even know.
I fucking drove my happy ass with all that food home, cooked it at my house, brought it back hot, and fucking served it.
That is insane. Did you just like load up Cambros and stuff like that?
Load up Cambros fucking in my fucking truck. Yeah,
that is terrifying.
Yeah, it was, man. And your heart's beating. You're fucking like, why did I do this? How did this happen? How the hell did this happen? But you learn from that shit, dude. Yeah. You learn, you know, you think you have your mise en place, you don't. Like, it's got to be a stronger, longer list, dude. Straight up.
Food, you cannot bullshit food. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah. And as a chef, when you want to serve hot food at a certain temperature with certain sauces at a certain temperature and salads at a certain temperature, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, ice, it's involved.
There's planning.
I mean? There's so much planning involved. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, chefing teaches you so much hindsight because you always visualize the end goal.
Yeah.
So by doing that, you start to consider everything that can go wrong and will go wrong, because there will be things that will go wrong.
Well, that goes along my next line questioning. I want to see if you get into like entrepreneurship. What does that mean to you, like being an entrepreneur?
I think for me, the most important thing in this line of work, especially like being a chef, is that you are your own marketing team. And, you know, like we mentioned with social media having the grip that it has nowadays, you find a lot of people are using that, and it's incredibly resourceful because that's how you communicate and create communities. Mm-hmm. However, as an entrepreneur and as like a self-employed chef, I found myself having to get out there and utilize a lot of those. Like I had to hit the pavement hard, dude. I had to print out business cards when I had no money at all.
For sure,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm over here.
Make yourself visible, somehow.
Absolutely. Somehow. Like you got to like wave a flag around like, hey, pay attention to me. I'm here. I can do this. You know what I mean? And so, you know, when you get to that point, you have definitely absolved yourself of all of your insecurities. And even if you have insecurities, dude, you can no longer hide behind them. Yeah. As a chef, as an entrepreneur, as a father, you know, everything that held you back before no longer exists. It can still, you know.
Yeah, it's up and downs, ebbs and flows, man.
Always
Seriously,
ups and downs. Always ups and downs.
Definitely. Because you'll have great moments, you'll have bad moments, you know what I mean? And then there's more to come. You know what I mean? There's more days to come. Yeah, for sure.
Dude. And you got to learn sometimes it's a bad day, not a bad life.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Bad days, not a bad life, not at all. I think we tend to think that way, but like I've gotten into this mode of just knowing the present. There is no future, there is no past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is none. Like it's only right now. What can I change? What can I do? You know what I mean? And it'll influence, you know, what happens in the future, you know?
Absolutely.
So that's all I really fucking fall back on.
It's a lot of lessons to learn, dude. But, you know, when you get into that point where you are your own boss and employee, you know, you become a culmination of many things. You become as organized as a whole team, but in one person. You know, you talked about mise en place being different when you're catering. Nobody else is accountable for that but you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know,
I would definitely, that's great advice, man. Seriously, like it's like no one cares, work harder. Yeah, in that moment, like you could talk shit, but you don't need to talk shit. You just, no one cares, work harder. You know what I mean? So like next time I will maintain, I'm going to start that. If I had a grill, I would start it beforehand, you know, blow on it, make sure it works, or if that, you know, have a contingency plan. You know what I mean?
No, like, the first time somebody told me that, I got so pissed off because I took it personally.
Sure, you can.
I thought it was a personal attack. I'm like, what do you mean nobody cares?
Yeah.
But then I sat with it and I'm like, oh, fuck, no, that's not what he meant. Like he was just telling me like, hey, dude, like, snap out of that ego.
Yes.
Get back to work.
Exactly. Yeah. You're crying in the moment. You lost.
Yeah.
Okay. Bounce back. How are you going to bounce back? You know what I mean? Figure it out, because that's all you can do. You can't cry about like over. You can feel emotional for a second, you know, let yourself body, but after that, like, how am I going to not let that happen ever again? You know what I mean? And move on. Seriously.
Or sometimes if you can't stop it from happening, you got to ask yourself, how can I prevent that from affecting me again.
Exactly. Maybe, yeah, definitely combat it in that way so it's not going to affect you so hard. Absolutely.
Dude, your mental is so much greater than your physical, because when I was really into kinesiology, I understood that your mind and your body go hand in hand. You can do anything you want to do as long as you tell yourself that.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously within reason, bro. Like, I'm not going to end up on the moon tomorrow, but if you see me on the moon, don't be surprised. But nah, dude, like,
that's good advice. I mean, because like as you work out, you think you're losing it, you don't got it, but like your mind tells you just keep going, and every time you tell yourself keep going, you're getting further and further along. You're getting you can do that plank longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you could feel like dog shit, dude, and you could have had the worst day ever. Yeah. But if you tell yourself, like, I'm going to get in and get it done, you're going to get in and get it done.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why on the show, like I always say, stay positive, stay motivated, and keep going, because I tell myself that shit a lot during the days. You know what I mean? There's so many things that happen. You know what I mean? You could be on a high, but like 2 things bad might happen. You know what I mean? You got to keep going, stay motivated, stay positive, because there's so many things that can happen. Seriously,
dude, it's an ugly world.
Entrepreneur world, regular everyday world. I mean, anything. Being the chef. I mean, there's so many things that go bad. It's crazy that I miss it. And that's another thing when I work with you guys is I miss being a part of the brigade, part of this process. You know what I mean? Like I like the mistakes,
all the camaraderie,
everything about it. You know what I mean? Even when the front of the house comes back and they're like, they look all awkward because they're not supposed to be there. You know what I mean? I'm like, I miss that. Look at that face. She knows she's not supposed to be back here.
You're just nostalgic and all that.
Yeah, just every single thing. There's so many aspects that I miss about the restaurant. I mean, it's bad and it's good. So like you said that every chef kind of has that nugget of having a restaurant one day. It's still there, yeah. Because
absolutely,
yeah. It's never know. Like one day the opportunity will come, or I'll create the opportunity to build a restaurant. It's every chef's dream to just put their name on a name on a restaurant and serve the public. Yeah, for sure.
But I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But like I think what's really cool is you kind of change a lot as you go through this experience.
Yeah.
So for me, when I was younger, obviously, I was influenced by a lot of TV personality chefs. And for me, my idea of success was completely different. My idea of success was, I need to be at the finest establishment ever. You wouldn't catch me dead cooking this food or that food. Like, I was such a pompous asshole. If I'd go back in time, I'd kick my own ass. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now the goal is no longer a destination, but now the goal is in my own abilities as a teacher, as a father, and as a chef.
Growth.
And once you get to that perspective, you realize that you can navigate through any kitchen. And that's what we go back to when we're talking about how do you impart that knowledge onto kids and, create an environment for them. There's a lot of growth and a lot of self-reflection required to really, really, really do well in this line of work. Mm. And you're not always going to be the most liked person in the room. You're going to say things that are going to rub people the wrong way.
Sure.
Or people could rub you the wrong way.
Sure.
But, like we discussed earlier, is that, when you're an adult and you're a responsible adult, you could have like relationships with people like, I don't work well with this guy, but we get the job done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yes. So like when I go to work, I don't think about myself as, you're Chef Jacob working at this location or that location. You're Chef Jacob and you're bringing those talents and skills to another location, and you're bringing those lessons and that environment to a different group of people.
Yeah.
So in my experience, having been at so many restaurants now, I think it's cool that I take parts of me to each place and they start to learn. The wait staff now, they're getting more knowledgeable about food. I had this one kid come up to me the other day and he's kind of a goofball, but I like him. He means well, but he's a young kid. So,
sure.
When I was his age, I was dumb as hell too.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me and he's like, yo, chef, last night, I had a date, made her some salmon. And then he was like going over like what his salmon was. And like in the back of my mind as a chef, I'm like, that does not sound good at all. But you know what? This kid is just like hyped, dude.
Yeah, he's all about it. Yeah.
He's all about it. And he's like, I felt like you yesterday, dude. And I was just like, cool. Man, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're doing the right thing. That's
so like, you know what I mean,
That's
dude? I think people get so caught up with, the accolades and the looks and like we agree social media has its place, but if you let it consume you to a degree where you're just becoming dishonest for the sake of a public appearance, people see right through that.
Truth.
They do. And that's where you find a lot of inconsistencies with relationships, dude. But like for you, really quick, that's where I feel like it's cool about you because you've put yourself in a position where you don't try to come into the food scene because you have your experience with it. Like, you know the ins and outs of it, and you've been through it yourself.
Sure.
So when you approach chefs and myself, you know, dude, everybody I think speaks very highly of you because we enjoy the experience that you bring to this, dude. You know, I mean, name one other person that's doing this with chefs or food.
I don't
you know what
man.
I mean? So like, while you're here to put us on the spotlight, like, let me put the spotlight on you for a second.
Shit. No, man. And the thing is, I'm just paying it forward, and it's one of my questions I'm going to ask you. But the thing is like, I feel like I don't deserve these blessings sometimes. I'm telling you, I come from
100% you do.
Highly
100%
hot environments, and I've been a hothead my whole life. It's just that I made changes in my life to do good things, and I'm telling you, when you make that change to be kind and just block out all the negativity and go forward in your own passions in your life, blessings come. And as this came, and I swear to God, it was actually a weird meeting when I met Chef Olivares. I had known he was a chef, but I didn't know of him. So once he got on the map and he was like, okay, Lola Rose, I was like, oh shit. I knew his sister, and I was like, damn, you were serious. I looked into his background. He's a competition chef and all that stuff. And I had this image of like a culinary competition in El Paso. So I was like, chef, what would I didn't know him. I DM'd him like, what would you do if I challenged you to a competition? You know what I mean? Like, just came off weird. I wouldn't even say it's egotistical. It was just weird.
Yeah.
And from that, he embraced my enthusiasm, and he's invited me to the restaurant. You know, gave me some of the best food when I came in as a patron. His staff treated me like a king when I ate a couple times, dude.
Yeah.
So I just want to pay it forward, dude.
Oh no, they're definitely up there with service. You know what I mean? Like the bar, I think the bar is getting higher in El Paso.
Yeah, but thank you, man, for that compliment. Because like I said, all I'm doing is paying it forward. The vibration and the energy that you guys give me, I'm just gonna give it back, and I'm gonna give it to everybody else that comes in my way. I'm
Absolutely.
not gonna. I used to be like, you know, you earn respect, but now it's like I give respect. I don't change no matter what. I give respect, and then you just show out. You know what I mean? If you're a person that's gonna disrespect me, then I just kind of, you know,
brush it off.
Brush it off, go about my business. You know what I mean? It's not gonna bother me. I have a mission, and I have, you know, things that I need to accomplish, and it takes time, it takes effort, and I don't got time for that. You know?
Yeah, no, you lose nothing by ignoring negativity, but you jeopardize everything by acknowledging it.
There you go, man. It's absolutely. But I give you props too, because you're young at 29 years old, and I learned it when I was 38. So here I am at 42, and I'm growing, and I'm still growing as an entrepreneur, as a person. You know what I mean? Learning from you and a community of chefs. So anything I can do, I'll help you out, man.
Absolutely.
And,
you never stop growing, man.
Yeah, no, never. I hope you never stop growing or learning in whatever passion you're doing. Some of the last questions I have, man, are about like the line. I asked you about the line between confidence and cockiness, and I love the way you defined it, because you mentioned your mom and your dad, and right, and so like that's gonna make a big difference, because I didn't even have to ask you that question, but you have already like a definition. The other important question I have to ask most of my guests is like how you pay it forward, and in what way.
You know, being a cook, you're getting like $7 an hour sometimes. You're getting 12 or 14 or whatever. And we all know the reality of it, man. There's hard times and there's hardships. And I worked with so many different chefs and so many different managers. And like I mentioned earlier, like we're all examples, but it's up to us whether we're a good or a bad one. And, you know, I pay it forward by trying to set that example for these kids, but also being, you know, personable with them enough to where, you know what I mean? You can read a lot about a person sometimes because you have that experience and you see it in them. And especially me seeing some of the younger cooks coming in,
right? You
know, you got kids who are helping out parents with bills, or, you know, they live on their own and they have a girlfriend, or they're young parents, you know what I mean, dude? Like, this is not a glamorous line of work. And although it does look nice on camera with the filters, there's so much hard shit you go through.
Oh yeah, definitely, dude.
And so, you know, being in the position that I'm in, I think the best example of paying it forward is to be a human being to these kids.
Good, man.
Don't be their boss. I mean, yeah, do what you got to do as a boss, because at the end of the day, it's a business. But there are certain ways to navigate how you manage them. And I think one of the best things that I can do for people is to give them the tools to build themselves up and build themselves to be better men and women. Yeah. Because I think what kitchens were before is gone. 100% gone. You know, pre-COVID kitchens were cowboy kitchens, man. You know, shit hits the fan, keep it moving. You cut yourself, tough shit, stay on the line.
Figure it out.
Yeah, you know. And so for me, I have this amazing opportunity where much like teachers and professors, you know, I'm in charge of facilitating this environment for these younger kids. So again, like I said earlier, you know, that's how I pay it forward. You know, I want to create an environment where these kids feel safe, where they can feel confident to confide in me, dude. Because like all my conversations in kitchens aren't always about food. You know, kids will pull me aside. Hey, chef, like I want to talk to you about this. Or they won't even call me chef. They'll be like, hey, Jake, can we talk? And dude, that's just it. You know what I mean? Like growing up in kitchens, nobody cared about that kind of shit.
For sure.
It was show up, shut the fuck up, grab your knife, do your job. If you don't do your job, the next person's at the door waiting for you to mess up.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you give that time of day to these kids, dude, and it costs you nothing to do it. It costs you nothing. I mean, sure, you're not always going to be super patient about it, but you know what I mean? It's all about creating that environment where they're comfortable enough to be transparent with you. And that's when you find that they become more committed. And dude, they understand the cause. You know what I mean? Not everybody needs to be drinking the Kool-Aid, and that's totally fine. Like I would never criticize somebody who comes up to me and is, you know, honest enough to tell me, chef, this isn't for me. I got one kid in particular, you know, this is obviously just a job for him. He's very transient. Like that's just, you know, service industry. It's a revolving door.
Definitely, yeah.
And so I told this kid, I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to expect you to come in the next day and decide you're going to be a chef for the rest of your life. But while you're here, you know, you're going to learn how to work.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if you learn how to cook or not, but you're going to learn how to work.
Right.
So it's those principles and morals through my own experience that I hope to pass on. And I'm still learning, man, you know. So for me, I think by giving that confidence to these kids, dude, it just makes them so much powerful. And they're so much more willing to go above and beyond for you because you've given them that strength, dude. And it's so awesome to watch these younger generations of cooks.
Oh,
you know? They're all getting together. They're all taking photos of their foods and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that is as a chef, that is a lot. Because like you're like objectively seeing you're kind of yourself in a way, you know what I mean? As you were like getting these fruits and learning for the first time and stuff like that. So definitely. So do you, that's great advice. Would you give any other advice for a new chef or a new business owner in the restaurant industry?
Embrace failure.
Embrace failure.
Dude, anybody can win.
Yeah.
Anybody can win and feel good.
Yeah.
Anybody can win and feel on top of the world.
Yeah.
Who loses with grace? You know, like people always say like, oh, I took my L on the chin. And like, did you really? You know, because I still am a prideful person. And the only thing that's changed about me is the way that I handle failure. Like I've lost tremendously. I've had such things go on in my life, you know, and unfortunately it happened enough times for me to realize how to do it properly. But I think the best thing that I could tell somebody is to give yourself a chance to stop and smell the roses. Life goes by so fucking fast, and you will never know what tomorrow will bring. But, you know, as long as you have a good head on your shoulders, there's nothing that can take you down, man, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose.
Yeah, you're going to take some L's for sure.
You're going to fuck up. You know what I mean? But nobody ever wants to talk about those as often. You know, everybody likes to say that they embrace humility and they take it on the chin, but, you know, doing it in a way that you separate your faults from what went wrong is one of the best things you could do from yourself, because that's when you can begin to learn better and teach yourself better.
And grow as a person.
You know, I got kids when they fuck up, you know, I'm not over here screaming at them. I'm like, hey, we're going to evaluate this and we're going to look at it and we're going to figure out where we went wrong. You know what I mean? It's not enough to say that you are a humble person. You literally have to act on it. And it's a job. It's a job to be consistently showing up every day, regardless of how the day's going. I've walked into work with everything going wrong.
Sheesh.
And then I walked into work where everything is perfect and, you know, we got a 5-star review. Still the same person each time. Get the job done. Yeah, still the same person each time. Yeah. So authenticity, also very big thing. You know, keep it real.
Nice. I think you're a great leader. I think I would, and like the kids that are working for you right now are very in a good hands, seriously, because like you're gonna grow as a human being, but also as a chef if you're willing to learn, because this man has a lot of talent and a lot of passion. So shout out Chef Jacob, thanks for coming to the show, man.
Dude, love this.
Guys, stop by, need to go to the block over there at Current Place, check out the menu. I think you have brunch, you said, and dinner menu.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've updated a lot of the menu. We've taken some of the OG items of theirs that have been staples and we've made some of them newer. Some of the things we can't really change, but you know what, dude, like like that's just the thing with restaurants. Like you cannot take away what the public loves sometimes.
Oh yeah, they go there for that.
Dude, as a chef, you can't lie and say you love all food. There's some dishes that you hate. Like you feel goofy making certain things, but people love it.
Oh yeah.
And that's just the point of it though. You know what I mean? I don't care what level of food you're executing. You know, if you do it with love and you do it with passion, no matter what you're serving, it'll always be the best thing you can put out there.
There you go. Absolutely, man. And then future plans, do you have anything on the horizon?
You know, right now I'm just so I'm so deeply involved with the work that I'm currently doing. You know, it's important to me that we get this place and take it up a notch.
Nice.
Because I feel that, you know, my mom is the one who told me this. She's like, working stiffs deserve a good meal too. Absolutely, they do. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want my parents going into a restaurant and getting served like some dog shit, dude. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Absolutely, they
What
deserve.
time are you guys open till?
We are open from 11 to 11.
Oh yeah, the kitchen is open till then?
11 to 11. And
because I get off at I used like 8:30 and man, nothing's open, man. So
yeah, you know what? These bodegas recently, they have been my go-to.
Oh really?
There's one over there on Mesa by Supreme Laundry, bro.
Bodega. It's called Bodega.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're called bodegas, but there was like the New York bodega over there.
Is it like a sandwich shop or what?
It's like a sandwich grocery store thing, dude.
Okay,
they're all over New York, and now
for
they're popping up all over El Paso. They got this meatball parm. They're open till 3 a.m.
Have you been to Capriati's?
Yes.
And then the McAllister's?
Oh, fuck yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like sandwich shops, I don't know. Bodegas, I never even heard of it. So I'll have to stop by and check it out.
Yeah, because it's more of like a grocery. It's like a one-stop shop deal that also happens to have like
deli.
a dude in the back with a flat top and like deli. Yeah, 100%.
That's cool because Jason's Deli's pretty badass too. I like that.
Bro, I love sandwiches.
I'm hungry. I'm going to get lunch, dog. Man, Chef Jacob, I appreciate it, man. It was a good chopping it up with you, man.
Absolutely,
seriously,
man. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to work for you more in the future, man. Seriously, stay up, man. Stay motivated, stay positive, y'all, and keep going, man. It's Grind2Hard. Appreciate y'all watching. Stay up.
Thank you.
Thank you.